Welcome back to the channel, guys. Just literally got back myself after a very wet evening and a very wet drive home. Trains were on strike today, so I went to the game, but I had to drive. And I'm back. Arsenal 5, Sheffield United 0. An absolute battering, to be fair. And one that I really felt we would look at and think, do you know what? We could actually really take some confidence from this. It's about time that we battered some teams, right? It's about time that we got through this game and actually look at a positive. I don't think we've had a Premier League performance like this for a while. And I was talking on the fan cam about an AFTV, saying I think it was Wolves 5-0 in the last game, the last time that we had this. So I'm really, really pleased. And I honestly felt when I saw the team news, which we're going to come into first of all, that it might not be that easy. Let's start with Sheffield United because they were poor. They were really, really poor, by the way. Really, really poor. And I worry for them. You know, I spoke to Nick, representation of Sheffield United for this channel, and he's just said, I'm just sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. And he wants a manager change. He thinks a sacking for Bottom is basically imminent. And it looks like Sheffield United might look to part ways with him and go somewhere else. They were poor. That's the poorest side that we've played so far this season. And I'll go as far to say it's one of the poorest side that we've played in a while. I really thought they were awful, if I'm honest. There was nothing that they did to threaten our goal. They couldn't really do much in the final third. And I think they'd walk away from this just thinking, no way we're going to match Arsenal. Worst team on the day, and Arsenal were the better team on the day. So that's Sheffield United. Let's take a look at the team news, because the team news for me was very, very interesting. And you can look at this two ways, guys. You can look at this as, okay, we're resting players. We can look at this as we're rotating to save ourselves for Wednesday against West Ham. Or you can look at it a third way and say we're rotating for Newcastle. The other way you can look at it as well is you can look at it as, I want to try and get these guys playing and get some minutes in their legs so that they can get ready for Wednesday night. And it'll be a similar team that plays on Wednesday. So what one's it going to be? That's going to be very interesting for me. I expect to see rotation on Wednesday, and I'll come to that in a bit. But I think today we could have pretty much put any players out there and they would have beaten Sheffield United. They were really poor. But the deadlock was broken through Eddie Nketiah. Now, Eddie Nketiah had a fantastic game today. And I'm not one to sit there and say that we are now sorted, but I am going to give him credit. And I'm going to give him credit because, one, he got a hat-trick. He's definitely man of the match. But also, all three goals were taken so well. And I think that the deadlock had to be broken at that point in the game. And it always is difficult when you look at teams like Sheffield United, already a team, to be fair, that plays a low block. If you look at that and think, do you know what? We need a goal soon. And I think the way that we got the goal, it just opened the floodgates. The ball from Declan Rice is a really good one, but it's really fast-paced. And the way he kills that with his first touch is fantastic. But actually, I do think there's a lot to be said about the finish. It's not an easy finish. So I'm going to be honest. I thought it was a really, really underrated goal. I thought it was one I looked at and I could look at again and again and think, yeah, he's done really well there, Eddie Nketiah. That's a striker's finish. It's a striker's touch. And I don't really care who it's against because you can only beat the teams in front of you. Now, yeah, he might not go and do that against the Man Cities, the Manchester Uniteds, the Chelseas, the Liverpools. He scored against a couple of those sides before. But actually, there's nothing wrong with Eddie Nketiah being a part of this squad. I think there's many Arsenal fans don't want him leading the line, and we'll come on to that in a minute. The second goal is well taken. It's obviously in the box. It's scrambled around, and he's absolutely roofed it. But the third goal is something of top quality. It's the best goal that Eddie Nketiah has scored for Arsenal, for me, hands down. And I think when you look at those type of goals, if it's a Jesus doing it, a Saka doing it, a Martinelli doing it, even an Ødegaard doing it, people would say it was outstanding. And because it's Eddie, I think some people will perhaps not want to say it, but we have to. It was class. It was absolute class. And I just think credit where credit's due. He's got the hat trick. Now we go on to some of the other individual performances. I don't think anyone was bad. I really don't. Raya was solid, didn't have much to do. Zinchenko in this game was really good, and it was good to see because he needed a good game. Ben White, likewise, I thought was good, needed a good game. Saliba solid as ever. But Jakob Kivior was a real standout for me today. And it weren't so much about, oh, wow, great defending. It was actually about everything he did on the ball and more importantly, off the ball. His aerial ability was really good at times. I thought his pace he showed at times when some of their strikers tried to get him behind. He just caught up with them, didn't give him a sniff. And I thought that some of the blocks and interceptions he made were really good. And I think that he just kept things really simple on that left-hand side. And I think he's a left-sided centre-back that perhaps has been forgotten about, if I'm honest, because of the excitement of Timber and the disappointment of his injury and how great Saliba and Gabriel have been as a partnership, how no one really wants to break that up. He's played left-back a couple of times already this season, Kivior. So it's the first time he's played at left centre-back in a while, I think. And I thought he was really good. Really, really good. Declan Rice was probably our best midfield player again, but this is becoming a bit of a typical performance from him now. I was really impressed again. I thought he was fantastic. And then I'm going to come on to the other two. Because Eddie's been mentioned. Saka, Martinelli, Smith-Rowe and Havertz. I thought it was a fairly quiet game from Saka. I didn't think he did anything amazing that I looked at and thought, wow, Saka's back. Not a poor game. Martinelli, again, I thought he was really good. Thought he was threatening down the left-hand side. His energy, I just can't help but admire. He is just tenacious and an animal, and he just runs and runs and runs like a madman. So, big up to Martinelli. Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe was actually involved today quite a bit. If you look at his game, he was actually quite involved quite a lot. He didn't set the world alight. None of them did, really, in that position, in that midfield. But I thought he was okay. Kai Havertz, he stayed on. He made a nuisance of himself. He won some headers. He made some nice flicks, some passes. He created some half chances. Perhaps could have done better at the end, and certainly in areas he could have done better. But again, I'm not seeing anything from Kai Havertz that's making me go, wow. I'm not seeing any positives. I'm not seeing any, this guy needs to start now. I'm not seeing him hold down a position yet. I'm not seeing Kai Havertz that I have thought perhaps I might have seen in game week 7 or 8. We're now in game week 10. I'm not seeing it. So he's still the one question mark for me. At £65 million, I need to be seeing him doing something. And I just don't know that I'm going to see it. I've kind of lost the will to want and hope that this guy's going to get better, because I've kind of accepted that perhaps he won't. But he was really the only, can I say a negative? I was going to say he's the only negative today, but he wasn't really, because he wasn't even a negative. Nobody was a negative today. The subs come on. Tomiyasu got his goal. It's great, actually, because we were sat next to a lady who had come from Japan, first game at the Emirates, first time in London, had a Tomiyasu shirt, Japanese shirt, and she's holding it up while he's warming up, and he comes on and scores. So bless her, she was absolutely over the moon. What a game to pick. And Fabio Vieira, likewise, comes on, wins a penalty, and steps up and takes the penalty. And that leads me nicely to VAR. How VAR has to get involved in every single goal now is getting a little bit ridiculous. There was 10 minutes today added on of a game because every single goal was being looked at to make sure it hadn't flicked off someone's backside or onto their arm, or it was definitely onside. All this is just taking way too long. And there was a game in the Burnley-Bournemouth incident in the Burnley-Bournemouth game today that took 6 minutes to look at. I mean, what is going on here? 6 minutes to look at something on a TV screen. Sorry, that's just incompetence at the highest order. But how the referee has not given that as a penalty today on Fabio Vieira, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. If you don't think it's a penalty and you're not sure if it's in or outside the box, give something because it's a foul, and then decide on VAR whether it's in or outside the box. Don't just do nothing. It's absolutely crazy that the refs played on. Fabio Vieira's rolling around doing his ankle. And if he hasn't done that, by the way, yeah, then we ain't getting it. We ain't getting it. So they then look at the VAR and decide it's a penalty. I mean, come on, it was. It was clear. You could see it. I didn't need VAR for that to see that it was a penalty or that it at least was a foul. So that was what was frustrating. However, we get it. And it's 5-0. And, Eddie gets his hat trick. And Fabio Vieira and Tomiyasu get 2 goals that actually really does a lot for their confidence. Tomiyasu deserves that goal. And I'll tell you why. Tomiyasu's been in very, very good positions in the last few games. Not just the one that he set up, not just the one today that he scored, but actually defensively, he's been really good positioning-wise as well. I've always liked him. I don't really know why he doesn't get the love. Maybe it's because he gets injured. I think he's a really good player. Versatile, can play right, left, centre-back. I've got a lot of time for him. I've always had a lot of time for him. And Tomiyasu now is starting to prove why he's such an important squad player and why he's a really good substitute to bring on. So for me, I'm going to say it now. Defensively, better than Zinchenko. Defensively, one of the best one-on-one that we've got. Aerially, the best. I think he deserves more game time and I think he'll get it. I think he'll get it at Wednesday. I think he'll play. And I'm confident with Tomiyasu now. I really am. Anytime I see him, Tomiyasu, I'm cool with it. I don't think I ever really doubted him. It was only the injury records that let him down because actually he was right back, wasn't he? Yeah, for most of the time. When Ben White was centre back with Gabriel and Tierney was left back, that was our back 4. And nobody had any issues with all 4 of them. Ben White's proven that he's better as a right back. Tomiyasu's fallen to the bench, but he's coming on and he's playing well. So I'm a big fan of Tomiyasu. I really am. Big, big fan. Who else was there? Leandro Trossard. Leandro Trossard today. I love watching him, guys. He's down the left-hand side. He's on the side that I'm looking at in the second half. And I'm watching his feet, and they're so quick. It's a joy to watch. I do think he deserves more game time. I'm not quite sure why he's not starting. A lot of people are saying it's because he's poor when he starts. I know a lot of team players that have been poor when they start, but they're not, for some reason, looking at Trossard as a starter. They're looking at him as somebody to come on the bench. If he's happy with being a super sub, then I'm happy with it because he seems to be contributing like he did at the game against Chelsea. And I thought he come on and really did well and created quite a lot, to be honest. So I was a big, big fan of what I saw from him. We finally saw Fabio Vieira today. I mentioned the penalty that he won and he scored from. Strange where he's been the last couple, to be fair. Contributed goals against Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, and of course, Fulham, I think he contributed to. And then he started at Everton. And everyone thought, okay, when Partey's out, I think it's going to be Rice as the 6 and Fabio Vieira as the 8 with Ødegaard. We haven't seen that again since. And I wonder if we will, because it looks now that everybody's having a go. Now, we can do 2 things with this. We can play Jorginho in the 6 when Partey's not there and keep Rice as the 8. Or if we believe that Jorginho can't play this many games and he has to be dropped, then Rice goes to the 6 and then we choose a number 8, whether it be Fabio Vieira, whether it be Smith Rowe, whether it be Kai Havertz. What do we think? Who do we actually think is the best 8 there if Jorginho and Partey and Elneny are the 6s and Rice is playing the 6? Who's the 8 when Rice plays the 6? Because Ødegaard's the 10. So who's the 8? Is it Vieira? Is it Smith Rowe? Is it Havertz? Can Zinchenko come and do that role? It's a good question to have. For me, if I'm going on just this season alone, I think it needs to be Fabio Vieira. I know that Afsar in the chat is saying that he doesn't rate Fabio Vieira, and I'm still not sure about Fabio Vieira, if I'm honest. I'm not going to sit there and say that he's now superb now because he's contributed a few times this season. He's still got a lot to do, right? But for me, personally, just me, I think Fabio Vieira probably deserves to be the starter there. Unless Smith Rowe it's definitely not Havertz for me. He's not a number 8. There is definitely no number 8 position for Havertz in this side, in my opinion. So that's that. Great win today. Great to get 5 goals. Great to keep a clean sheet. Great to actually batter a team and destroy them by playing good football. We weren't fluid today like we were last season, but it was comfortable, guys. Yeah, come on. It was easy. We weren't really ever out of second or third gear, in my opinion. It was quite easy to see who the better quality of team were, who the better quality of players were. So I thought it was comfortable. And we needed to be. We had a bad day at the office against Chelsea, right? We sorted out Seville. We did well there. And we've sorted out Sheffield United in a good way today with a rotated squad. Yeah. We saw players that people say aren't good enough for this first team. Eddie and Ketia. Reece Nelson made appearances today. Tomiyasu, Smith Rowe, Havertz. We had Kivior in today. So, yeah, it was a good win, man. It was a really good win. So let's see where we go now. Wednesday and the weekend is going to be tough. 2 away games. Firstly, away to West Ham and then away to Newcastle at St James's Park for what is going to be my birthday weekend. So I really hope I don't go all the way up to Newcastle when it's a disappointment. Drop points again today. Newcastle. Wolves, if I'm honest, I don't think that was a penalty. I really don't think that was a penalty. I've seen it just now. Someone sent it to me. He's pulled out and the geezer's dived. It is not a penalty, and I can't believe VAR have not overturned that. But Newcastle take a point, but they drop points there because I expected Newcastle to win. Wolves have really impressed me this season, I can't lie. But Newcastle got some serious injury problems. I know Arsenal have too, but they have really got some injury problems. So I'm confident about that one now going into it. But I want to chat on West Ham first because that one's important to me. It's important to me because it's a cup competition. It's important to me because it's a cup we haven't won for 30 years. It's important to me because I feel like it's winnable. West Ham made some changes in the week and lost. If Arsenal make wholesale changes in this game, we'll lose. It's quite simple for me. If we go out with a team with Cedric's playing and we go with how many? Let's say 8 changes from our first 11, I think we'll lose against West Ham. West Ham will probably play Kudus. They'll probably play Ben Rama. They'll probably play Bowen. They'll probably play Paqueta. They'll probably play Souček and Ward-Prowse. I imagine they'll go with a back line that consists of something like Aguerd and Mavropanos with Emerson and Soufal and maybe Fabianski in goal. So they're not going to have a team that we look at and laugh and go, oh my God, look at their B team bench players. So Arsenal can't do that either. If we go with a team that's as complete and utter second string that haven't touched the ball together as a team, I think we'll struggle. So make 4 or 5 changes. Don't make 7, 8, 9. Do what Pep Guardiola does against Manchester City when he plays in these competitions and make 3 or 4. That's fine by me. Ramsdale comes in, it's calm. If we play Tomiyasu at right back, it's all good. If we play Kivior and Gabriel and Zinchenko, cool. Rice will play. Like Lee Judges doesn't reckon Rice will play. I think he will. I also think that we will probably play Jorginho in this one and then have Rice as the 8. And then I think Ødegaard will come in for this one because he didn't play today. And then I think the front 3 will be something similar to Trossard, Martinelli, Eddie. One of Saka and Martinelli will play. One of them will be dropped. I don't know which one. Martinelli come off today, so maybe he'll start Martinelli, play Trossard right, and then Eddie through the middle. Or maybe he'll go with Reece Nelson. Who knows? But for me, I think that we do need to play only 3 or 4 changes, not 8, 9, because I think we'll be in trouble if we do that. So that's the way I see it. I'm really looking forward to this one because I feel like we can beat West Ham. And if we do go through, I'm really interested to see what the next side of the draw is looking like because Manchester United have got Newcastle. I think Ipswich have got Fulham. I think Chelsea have got Blackburn. There's another team in there as well. Liverpool have got someone fairly easy as well. So I expect them to go through. So basically, I'm expecting Newcastle or Manchester United, one of those obviously will go through, and Liverpool. They're the 2 teams I'm looking at going, don't really want them. But I'd take the others. I'd even take Chelsea because look at them today. What a mess. It's actually frustrating that we couldn't beat them. Really frustrating, if I'm honest. Ash, big up Ash. Hope you're well, bro. Says, I'm feeling positive about Newcastle, mate. They have no Tonali and no Isak. They also have no Murphy, apparently. They also have no Elliot Anderson. And I think apparently Botman is maybe a miss as well, or he might be coming back just for this one. Obviously, we've got what's his name out? Harvey Barnes. He's still out as well. So this is a very beatable Newcastle side right now. So I'm with you there, Ash, 100%. Over and over again, Rich, make sure you go over and subscribe to Rich. This is the team that he'll go with: Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel Kivior, Jorginho, and El Neni, Fabio Vieira, Nelson, Eddie, Trossard. Wow, is there too many players there? Is there 12 players there, or is there 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, there is 11. Well, I obviously can't count. Maybe that was me in my head doing the formation. So, yeah, Jorginho and El Neni, that's right. Yeah, of course. So that's the trio. I'm with you now. So the trio will be Jorginho and El Neni, and then Fabio Vieira, and then Reece Nelson and Trossard either side of Eddie. Do you know what? That is fair. I would say that we could probably get away with being stronger than that, though, Rich, against West Ham. I would probably drop El Neni out of that. And I like El Neni, and I think he come on today and look steady, to be fair. But I don't think he's played enough to be giving him the starter. I would be going with Rice instead of El Neni. Vieira, I'm fine with. I would probably look to put one of Saka and Martinelli in. And I'm okay with the back line, to be fair, because I think all four of those are solid. But I would play Saliba Gabriel 100%. Like, absolutely would, like, for sure, 100%. Big up to DJ Ash. Big up, man. Great to see you today as well. Says big up, Dan. Great speaking to you after the game today, mate. Yeah, man. Absolutely. And likewise to everyone else coming up and having a chat with us. It was great. PG says that Odegaard will start. Yeah, I agree, to be fair. I think that he probably will in the next game. Or is he resting in for Newcastle? I'd be amazed, to be fair. Liverpool got Bournemouth away, says Steve. I think that will be a Liverpool win. I think Liverpool are the ones at the moment that people are looking at to win the Carabao Cup now that Manchester City are out. And I think that's because we've got West Ham. And people are looking at West Ham thinking maybe that's too hard. I'm not going to say Arsenal just in case they're not. Do you know what I'm saying? Dan Potts looks like Johnny Bairstow. Really? I've not had that one before, bro, but I'll take it. Could be a hell of a lot more worse people that I could look like. So big up, man. Guys, we're going to leave it there. We'll be back. We're back over the weekend. We're back Monday night as well for Race for Europe. Tuesday night, we're back with a show as well with all of the guys. But also Wednesday is Arsenal West Ham. So we're going to get some reaction from that as well. So there'll be previews for that, reviews for that. Make sure that you join us. Do me a favor, though. Please smash a like on this. Please leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really does mean a lot to the channel. It really does. And it helps it grow magnificently. So thank you so much for all being here. Thank you for listening. Make sure that you do that on the way out. And we'll be back really, really soon. Take it easy, guys. Laters, up the Arsenal.